Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Halloween homecoming edition of Cyclone inCYders. I'm Logan Murata, your host. Joined alongside, I have Garrett Kroger and Jake Stevens. So, guys, we're going to jump right into it. Iowa State just finished the run of terror, run of doom, whatever you want to call it. They just got done taking on the top three offenses in the nation last week after losing to number 2 Baylor 45-27, and recently had some change-ups following that this week. But we'll start with the Baylor game, though. The Bears jumped out to a 35-7 lead, and it looked like it was going to be the game everyone was expecting it to be. But after a rain delay and a couple QB changes, Iowa State made it a more respectable game, and it was actually pretty close until they put up a quick 10 at the end. So we're going to start with this question. QB Sam Richardson got subbed out after a dismal start. Joel Lanning got put in. How big of a factor do you think Lanning's substitution was in leading Cyclone comeback? What do you think?
Oh, I thought his substitution was a big factor in this game because if you look at it, Lanning was going deep most of the time. Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing like the short passes, like not the 6 yard passes. He was going for 10, 15 yard passes. With Sam, he's like just trying to play it safe. With Lanning, he goes deep. He's trying to take those risks in the passing game, and it showed in his stats too. Sam went 3 for 11 for 12 yards, while Lanning went for 12 for 17 for 144 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
So he was him coming in for the Cyclones was a big factor.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you made a good point there. I think Lanning was trying to make throws that Sam wouldn't make in the game. Like you said, he went deep. What I liked, he was going to the corner of the end zone. He was taking chances. And I think when you're in a game, I mean, where you're not necessarily inevitably going to lose, but you might as well take some chances. I mean, what do you have to lose? Rhodes said in a press conference after the game, the energy level of not just the offense, but the team changed when he took over. And I think the team responded and knew that they were going to get some different results when he took the field. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, when you play a team like Baylor, you got to go big or go home. Baylor is one of the best in the nation in offense and defense on both sides of the ball. But I feel like Baylor got a little too cute with their play calling.
Yeah.
I feel like definitely the weather played a huge effect, and they got way too conservative on both sides of the ball. Because, it's hard to play with a high energy level when you're dominating in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And I think that third quarter, that was the first quarter they didn't put up any points all season, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think they scored when they needed to, which mattered the most in the fourth quarter, to ultimately seal the game.
Yeah, and granted, I think another contribution was obviously Seth Russell's injury, and I think that slowed down the Baylor Bears offense a little bit. But ISU was the first team all season to, I think, hold the Bears to a scoreless quarter, but not just that, but hold them under 50, and only the second team to hold them under 60 points. With that said, who gets your defensive game ball? And were you actually impressed with Iowa State's D in this game? We'll start with you this time.
I guess I was a little impressed, but you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I think my defensive game ball would have to go to the entire secondary.
Yep.
Because they held Corey Coleman to 85 yards, which is the season low, and plus the first game all season where he hasn't got over 100 yards.
Yep.
And he did get his usual 2 touchdowns, which is what he basically averages a game. But ISU is ranked 113th out of 127 FBS teams. So their defense isn't much to talk about, or much to even consider, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm going to agree with the secondary pick. I went with, more specifically, Jay Jones, or Jarner Jones is his actual name. But, he played a big factor, I think, in that scoreless quarter. He had 2 pass breakups, 2 QB hurries, and a number of tackles. Yeah. So I thought he was a big piece in the secondary, and I think that's going to be big going forward in the season. Garrett, what do you think?
I'm going to stick with the trend of defensive backs, but I'm going to go with Jamal Wiltz because he was the primary person on Corey Coleman for most of the game. And like Swaggy said, it was kind of a down game for Corey Coleman, but he did get his typical 2 touchdowns. But Jamal Wiltz held his own against one of the top receivers in the nation. So I'll give him my game ball.
Yeah, Corey Coleman, he's like dipped in Vaseline.
Yeah.
Like defenders, they always try to check him at the line, but he just gets by like it's nothing. They can never put hands on him.
Yeah, he's got a good stutter step, and once you throw the ball up, him and Doxson. Yep. If you throw the ball up in the corner of the end zone, they're going to pull it down 9 times out of 10. Exactly.
The thing is, you know what's coming too. Yep. You know Coleman's going on a fly route at least once every drive. Yep. And teams still can't stop it. It's insane.
All right, so we'll look at the offensive side. Who has your offensive game ball? Garrett, we'll start with you.
I'm going to give my offensive game ball to the running backs.
Yep.
Mike Warren had 145 yards against Baylor, but also Joshua Thomas is coming on strong lately. He had 13 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown, and he's pretty known for like the 2 yards, 3 yards. But now he's showing more explosiveness out there. So the running game, I'll give my game ball for offense.
Yeah, we got a little graphic here. 5 touchdowns for Thomas, only 3 for Warren. And like you said, he's been a great short down back and goal line back, and I think that's something we've needed to finish off drives in the red zone. Jake, who do you think, or who do you have getting your offensive game ball?
Joshua Thomas, he looks like a linebacker out there, running back. Like he is massive. But I'm going to have to go with Mike Warren specifically, because Mike Warren is, since he started this Toledo game, which is his first start, he is third in the nation in rushing yards with over 153 rushing yards a game.
Yep.
And he was most recently just named to the Doak Walker Award watch list for the top running back in the nation. And he finished with 145 on 28 carries. So I'm going to have to go with Mike Warren specifically.
Yeah, very deserved that honor for Warren. Had a great season so far. I had a number of options. I could have taken Warren easily or even Lanning for his second half performance, but I kind of went outside the box since we don't have Taylor Mankel here. Wanted to be different. I took Quentin Bundridge in this one. He grabbed 2 TDs, both on impressive plays. The last one was kind of in garbage time, but he broke I think 3 or 4 tackles on the play. And the other one was one in the corner of the end zone, like I said earlier. Lanning had a great throw right on the spot, or right on the money, and he got his feet down, so I thought that was big. And in the absence of Alan Lazard, I think they needed a playmaker on the receiving end. But so moving on, the real news came after the game and early this week on Monday when Paul Rhodes announced the firing of Mark Mangino in a press conference, as well as the QB swap, landing officially the starter over Richardson. Do you guys agree with this move? Jake, what do you think? Do you agree with the Mangino firing and the Lanning start?
Yeah, I actually agree with both because, you got to do something. The team hasn't been putting up numbers at all on offense. I believe they only put up more than 30 once this season.
I think twice. Kansas and you and I, but.
Yeah, either way, they can't put up points at all, even yards. And with Bundridge, Lazard, and Warren, and even Joshua, you got to do something. You get the average 30 points a game.
Right.
Especially in a conference with so many explosive offenses, you have to be able to keep up.
Yeah, and it seems like, we have the weapons and we should be putting up those points, and that's exactly what I had on mine too. I actually approve of both moves as well. I think you saw stagnation in the Mangenius offense, as it was called. When he got here, I saw the receiving core, and I liked it, and I liked what he did at Kansas, but it just simply didn't implement here. I saw a lot of conservative play calling that we still saw before he even showed up. And I think part of the issue, too, was I think there was disagreements in the locker room between the coaches. But I also agree with the Lanning situation. Sam simply wasn't playing good football. I feel bad for the guy. It's his senior year, but I don't care if it's senior year. 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions isn't going to do it in the Big 12. And I don't want to rip on him too hard, but, the season is nearly a wash at this point. Bowl eligibility is very murky. We have to win 4 out of 5 to get there. So, why not give the young guy a chance, I think. Garrett, do you agree, or what do you think?
I totally agree with both moves, mostly because Paul Rhodes is known as a stubborn person. Mark Mangino is a stubborn person. If you put 2 stubborn people together, it's not going to turn out well. And you saw Mangino had to go because, by like you mentioned, there's probably disputes in the locker room, primarily with quarterback. Because I've heard that one coach wanted to go with Lanning, but Mangino wanted to go with Sam because he knows the playbook. But yet Manning takes more of the risk and wants to try to score those touchdowns while Sam is a more conservative quarterback. And as you guys seen this year, the conservative quarterback's not doing anything for Iowa State. So putting in Lanning and probably going out with Mangino, because Mangino was, as you said, conservative.
Yep.
He runs bubble screens on 3rd and 9, which is not gonna work. You have to go for those 3rd and longs. So I totally agree with both moves.
You got what do they have to lose?
Yeah. Exactly. And
that's what I look at anyway.
So just to follow up to that, what do you guys, Coach Sturdy, the QB's coach, is now the offensive coordinator. Do you think the play calling changes a little bit in this upcoming week? What do you think?
I totally think it does because he was the pass offensive coordinator. During the press conference, during the after the media, when media was able to talk to players, apparently Lanning said him and Cersei worked together a lot more than Mangino ever did, worked with the quarterbacks. So I feel like Todd knows Lanning better than Mangino would have. So Todd's go hey, Lanning likes to go deep more, so let's go deep more.
Yeah, And I mean, Rhodes has always been kind of a run-first guy, but I agree. I think we'll definitely see some more deep shots. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, if it's anything like we saw against Baylor, I definitely think it's going to be a more air raid offense, which is what the Big 12 is for the most part. So yeah, I think the play call will definitely be influenced by Lanning's and his pass throwing ability.
All right, well, we'll see what happens going into next week's game. For right now, we're going to toss it to a break real quick. We'll be right back, and we're going to preview the Texas game and talk a little NBA. But first, we have a recap of the volleyball game last night, shot by our own Jared Calvert. Stay tuned. You're watching inCYders.
The Iowa State volleyball team was looking for revenge tonight against the Kansas Jayhawks after being swept 3-0 by them in Lawrence earlier this season. Kansas Jayhawks would get the best of them tonight as well, however, taking the match 3-1. The Cyclones started the match strong with the first set victory, 25-20. Morgan Kurt led the offense in the first set with 8 kills and a .500 hitting percentage, while Caitlin Nolan backed up the defense with 14 digs. The second set was a battle between the two teams, but Kansas came out on top, winning 28-26. That momentum kept on going as the Jayhawks dominated the third set 25-15 and finished off the Cyclones 25-20 in the fourth. In the post-game media conference, Caitlin Nolan credited the Kansas defense during the last 3 sets.
Kansas is always known to be like a really good defensive team. I think they really turned it up over there, and they made it really hard to put the ball down, whether that was hitting, blocking. They were covering pretty much everything.
Head coach Christy Johnson-Lynch also talked about the last 3 sets, as well as Kansas sophomore Kelsey Payne, who finished the night with 26 kills.
Everything that was clicking game 1 stopped working for various reasons. I think they did just play better. They played much better defense. They served us really tough. I mean, again, I felt like, bad pass. Got to go outside. Bad pass. And so then we could become predictable. They dig us up a little bit easier, and then they run whatever they want offensively. It's a little bit of 8 just taking over. And, if she wasn't crushing the ball, she was making it very difficult for us to even get the ball back over.
The volleyball team will return to Hilton this Saturday as they take on the Oklahoma Sooners. Game is set to start at noon and will be broadcast on Cyclones.tv. For ISU TV, I'm Jared Calvert.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
It's your home, it's your dream. Radon test and keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green.
Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN. Preserve your family's health and well-being. Get your home tested. Now that's living healthy and green.
Green, green, green. It's your home, it's your dream. Radon test and keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green.
To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN.
Break. So we just recapped the last week's game against Baylor, and now that the Cyclones have made it through the thick of the big bad Big 12, they get a bit of a relief game for homecoming against Texas, and Texas is 3-4, 2-2 in the conference right now. And taking a look at the Longhorns, they started their season 1-4 with some close games against Cal and Oklahoma State, but also a pair of beatings against TCU and Notre Dame. And since then, they've won 2 straight against Oklahoma and K-State. What will be the key for Iowa State to slow down the streaking Longhorns and win this homecoming game? Jake, we'll start with you this time.
I'm going to go with, I think Mike Warren's have to get it going on the ground.
Okay.
It'll definitely help landing out with the pass game. I mean, but this Texas defense, they've been on fire for the most part these past 2 games anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had 11 sacks. I think they're holding teams like 12 or 39 on third down. And I think Mike Warren's have to get it going.
Yeah, and I agree with the running game as well. I think taking some shots downfield will be huge, but definitely to open that up.
Yeah, if Mike Warren gets it going, I'll bring the safeties in, of course.
Absolutely. Big thing, I know you probably have this down, is Texas's running game. Texas has ran for 317 yards on Oklahoma and 274 against K-State, and in both of those games, only threw for a combined 28 passes, So if it's not obvious, stop the run. Is that what you had down?
Yeah, I definitely have to stop the run because Hurd, their starting quarterback, is their leading rusher right now with 489 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Their second leading rusher, Jonas Gray, has 388 yards rushing, and then the guy after them, Foreman, has 371 yards rushing.
Wow.
And then Swoops, the backup quarterback, has 5 touchdown rushing yards right now. So basically, you have to make them throw the ball because Texas throwing the ball is not great. And also, like you guys mentioned, their defense has been playing really good right now. But just right now, but overall so far, Texas is not a good defensive team.
Right.
They're 100th in pass defense and 76th in rush defense. So obviously, get Mike Warren going and see if Lanning can test their secondary.
Yeah, and I like that. And I was wondering about the Swoops guy because wasn't he the starter last year?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, is Hurd a freshman or is his? Did he just win the starting job? I was just curious about that.
He's a freshman this year.
Okay, because I was wondering, and then I looked up Swoops to see if he was still there, and he ran for 3 touchdowns last week and attempted 1 pass that was incomplete. But all right, so who are the players to watch? You have Mike Warren, I'm guessing, for your offensive player for Iowa State?
Actually, I have Bundridge as my offensive player.
Okay.
He's a deep ball threat. He's had to beat the secondary a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, this Texas team, they get a lot of yards, but they don't get a lot of points.
Yeah.
I think the last 2 games, they got 24 and 23.
Yep, that's right.
So I think Bundridge going to have to beat the secondary and beat them over top a few times.
Yeah, and I also have a receiving core guy, but I don't have Bundridge. I have Alan Lazard. He is expected to start. He's coming off of a rotator cuff injury, and I think with Lanning at the helm and against what has been a stingy Texas D lately, having a playmaker show up will be huge. Who do you have as your offensive player?
Offensive player, I have Joel Lanning.
Okay.
For 2 reasons. Because obviously he's had to be throwing the ball a lot, but he's also a good running quarterback.
Yep.
He can gain yards, like 10, 12 yards, and then maybe 5, hit or miss sometimes. So he's a good dual threat quarterback, which Sam usually was, but later on in the season really hasn't been lately.
Yeah.
But Joel adds that dynamic against this Texas team.
Yeah, and something I've noticed when I see Joel run, versus Sam is he seems shiftier. He gets between the tackles and gets upfield. So I like that as well. So we'll switch over to defense. I'll start this time. For my defensive player, I'm going to go with Jay Jones, who I gave my game ball this week. Like I said last week against Baylor, he was one of the leading tacklers and a big reason that they held Baylor to that 10-point second half. And I think if the secondary can do their job and maintain the run as well, I think they'll have a big game. Jake, who do you have as your defensive player?
My defensive player has to be Dale Pearson. The guy's he's good for a sack a game. I think he ranks 11th nationally in that category.
Yep.
I mean, even if he doesn't get the sack, he could get in the pocket and disrupt Jared Hurd throwing the ball, or even stop Jonathan Gray in the backfield a couple times. Either way, he's going to be a force on the defensive end and contain him from getting outside the tackles.
All right, and who do you have, Garrett?
I'm going to go with DeMond Tucker because he's the guy in the middle. He's the nose tackle for this Iowa State defense. So he's got to be the guy who's kind of leading the push against the offensive line for Texas. So he's got to be key against for Iowa State to stop that Texas rushing offense. But also, just to throw in a Texas guy, Paul Boyette. Earlier this week, he made some comments about Iowa State. He said, Iowa State is not a good team. Yes, they play well sometimes, but they're not a good team. So I just want to see how Paul Boyette backs up his words against this Iowa State team.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. I like that. So we'll move on to, we were talking about Lanning a little bit earlier. How do you guys think he fares? This is his debut start for the Cyclones in a game, homecoming game at home against Texas, a team we have a little bit of history with. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Garrett, how do you think he fares in his debut?
I think he does pretty well against this Texas team. Yes, they have been playing well defensively lately, but he's shown some stuff against good teams. He's shown like that one pass play against TCU for the touchdown to Lazard, and also against Baylor. So he's shown that he can play well against good teams, but it depends on like how he can do for a full game.
Yeah.
And like with homecoming in Ames is a place to play. Like as you've seen over the last few years, Texas has had troubles against Iowa State.
Yep.
So I believe Lanning will have a very decent outing against Texas.
Yeah, and I like the point you made about a full game versus a second half. I mean, I think when you come in and the offense is kind of struggling and you can spark a fire and give them some different looks, that can be different than playing an entire game. And if you have some drives that, go stagnant and things kind of slow down, you can kind of get in a funk. I think Lanning will also play pretty well. Texas has had an inconsistent D that has looked strong in the past 2 weeks, but I like that he offers more of the deep ball game. And if you pair that with how Mike Warren's been playing lately, I think he could throw for maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, for the most part, I agree completely with Garrett. I think Lanning will struggle a little bit early on, a little early game jitters, but I think overall make the plays necessary. Because like before, like you said, like he'd come in, it's just straight adrenaline.
Yeah.
Could change the pace, kind of like a 6-man off the bench in a way. Not to expect much, but if he does, it's good. But overall, I think he'll make the plays necessary for Iowa State to win.
All right, so not to get ahead of ourselves, but we'll do a little follow-up. So if he plays a good game against Texas, maybe even if they don't win, does he solidify the starting job?
Yeah, he obviously does, because if he shows more out of this, like if he shows consistency, if he doesn't make like the dumb plays, if he does well but like still lose, like if it's not just on him, if he like shows that, hey, I'm taking this risk, like I'm gonna throw this ball deep, like I'm showing that I want to win this game for Iowa State, I believe he's at start. And plus, you're building for the future right now for Iowa State, so you obviously have to give Lanning some like sort of leash, like long leash.
Yeah, and I agree. I think he's kind of in it for the long run. As long as he doesn't have an absolutely terrible game, I think he's got the starting job. Do you agree?
I agree completely. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, no.
Garrett together, I was going to say.
Yeah,
I agree completely.
No, it's all right. All right. So just to recap the past 2 meetings against Texas, if you Cyclone fans don't remember, 2013, the last time Texas was here in town, they won on a late touchdown that was came with a couple of calls that fans would call controversial here. The infamous Jeremiah George strip that could have gone to the house and won us the game, but that wasn't the case. Refs didn't see it that way. And then last year, 2014, in a shootout in Austin. And last year, this is the point I wanted to bring up. Last year, people said Texas had a great D too when we went down there, and I think we put up like 45 points on them.
Yep.
So shootout there, we tied it up at 45s with about, I think, less than 30 seconds left, and 2 long passes set up a field goal. A very Iowa State way to lose, I would say. But do you guys think this is the time? Are the Cyclones going to redeem last year's 2 losses? And what is your prediction with the score? Jake, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the Cyclones definitely make the Longhorns sweat it out for the most part.
Okay.
I think third time's the charm.
Yep.
I think the homecoming crowd is going to be pumped up. Everyone's going to be going crazy. I think the Cyclones will win this game 27-24.
27-24. You have it in a close one.
Yep.
Garrett, what do you think?
I believe Iowa State's going to make this a close game, but I don't see them pulling it out.
Okay.
For one main reason. Texas, they were actually a better team than the record says.
Yeah.
They should have beaten Oklahoma State, but they shot themselves in the foot by dropping the snap to the punter there. So that allowed Oklahoma State to get the ball deep in their territory and kick the winning field goal. And also, they should have tied up with Cal.
Yep.
Like, they probably should win that. Yeah, the extra
Cal.
point. So if you look at it that way, they should have at least 5 wins right now. And, like, they're a good team. You don't know who's going to be running the ball for them because they have 4 options there. And, like, their passing game is okay, but, like, it gives you doesn't make you have to worry about it, but you still have to worry about it.
I think he only throws like 12 times a game.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He doesn't throw that often at all.
Yeah, only 28 combined passes in the past 2 games, and I think one of those was the backup.
Yeah.
But I think time of possession will be an interesting thing in this game because we both have 2 running teams, and that's something we haven't seen the past 3 weeks against Tech, Baylor, and TCU. So that'll be an interesting thing to look at. I think Iowa State does get their revenge this season, in a close one. I think the offense starts clicking, and I think it's going to be kind of a shootout like last year. I think both teams will effectively move the ball, and I have Iowa State win this one 44-37. And just to take another look here, Texas averages 206 yards on the ground, pretty crazy. And then the total defense is both actually allowing over 400 yards a game. So we'll see how that turns out. But moving on to the rest of the Big 12, let's see what you guys have for your predictions. We'll start out with West Virginia at number 5 TCU. I think we have some consensus picks this week. Is this one of them? You guys all taking TCU or?
Yeah, I'm taking TCU. I mean, West Virginia, they're a good team. They got a high-powered offense, just like every other Big 12 team. But I think with Seth Russell going down, I'm pretty sure TCU is well aware of that.
Yeah.
He's out for the season. I think TCU, this is their conference they're taking now.
Yeah.
So I think they know that. I think they're going to go out there and just dominate West Virginia.
Yeah, I like that. And it's at home. TCU plays great at home. They struggle on the road a little bit, but I think this is an easy win for TCU.
Yeah, I think they'll contend for the most part. I think TCU will end up winning 50 to 30 something. For the first half might be close, but TCU will take off on them.
Okay.
Yeah, TCU is the second half team. Instead of be close in the first half, but TCU's that blow opened the door in the second half. And plus, West Virginia's stud safety, Carl Joseph, is out for the year, so that's their defense against this high potent TCU offense.
Yeah, I was going to say, Doxson. Did he go down like 2-3 weeks ago? I remember us talking about that on the show. And another storyline just to bring up, Trevon Boykin and the little girl, I don't know her name personally.
The kid captain for Iowa State.
Yeah, I believe I read that she's going to be going down to that game.
Yeah, she's flying out. Yeah, I saw that too.
So great story there. Moving on, we have number 14 at Oklahoma at Kansas. So I believe this is consensus pick, unless this is the week that Kansas finally does.
Nope.
If Kansas can't beat South Dakota, was it South Dakota State?
Yep, South Dakota
All right,
State.
yeah. If they can't do that, they can't beat Oklahoma. I'll take them at least by 4-5 touchdowns. So then Oklahoma State against Texas Tech, and I think this might be the one where we differ a little bit. Garrett, who do you have in this one?
I have Oklahoma State.
Okay.
Really, Texas Tech, they played a easy first half schedule, but now they're getting the bulk of their toughest part of their schedule.
Okay.
They have Oklahoma State left. They still have Baylor, and then they already played Baylor. But
TCU? Do they have TCU?
They already played TCU and lost. Really, Texas Tech, they're not great. They don't have a great defense. Yeah, you have a good offense, but all you have to do is stop their passing attack, and nothing from Texas Tech.
I'm going to differ a little bit here. I'm going to take Texas Tech. It's in Lubbock. Their offense can put up points, and Oklahoma State has played a lot of close games this year, and I think this might just be one where, Tech pulls away and Oklahoma State can't come back and can't close it out at the end. What do you think, Jake?
I mean, I really like that Texas Tech quarterback. I can't remember his name.
Patrick
Mahomes. Yep.
Mahomes, yeah, that dude has a cannon. He can throw like 670 yards easy, even with a bum knee. But I still think Oklahoma State, I think they have too many weapons and too much speed on offense for that Texas Tech defense, like Garrett mentioned. It's horrible. So, yeah, I have Oklahoma State 45-30, just around there.
Okay, I like that. So this is the part we're going to go to that we've all been waiting for, us three at least. So the NBA season started on Wednesday, and our beloved mayor, Fred Hoiberg, has already coached the Bulls to a 2-0 start. First win against LeBron and the Cavs on Wednesday, and then one last night against the Nets. And, let's do some quick predictions. Do you guys think the Bulls win the East in the first year of Fred Hoiberg's era as the Chicago Bulls coach? Jake, what do you think?
I mean, the Bulls are a good team, don't get me wrong, but LeBron James, he still plays in the East.
Okay.
So I'm going the Cavaliers. I mean, LeBron, he's hurt right now like he is every other year because he doesn't get much time off. He is getting older.
Yeah.
Only people realize that. He's like 31, 32.
It's got to get tiring carrying the team on your back for years.
He does have legitimate back issues right now. So I will see a sluggish LeBron the first few months. Like Cavaliers will be subpar even without Kyrie. But come December, they'll really kick it on. I think the Cavaliers will win about 50, 60 games. Yeah, and they'll be first in the East.
And I saw LeBron say earlier today on ESPN, or I saw a quote in an article that he said Kevin Love could be, the key or the main part of their offense this year, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And when Kyrie comes back, I think that could be their conference for the taking. But I'm going to take the Bulls. I like them a lot. I like what Hoiberg's doing there. I think you see the guards, and I think you see the bench coming off and making a bigger impact. And you're going to see a lot more points scored versus the Thibodeau era. So I like the Bulls to take the East. Who do you have?
I definitely like the Bulls, mostly because you have Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
If Derrick Rose can stay healthy, that'd be a plus. But also, a lot of the players in Chicago are saying they like Fred Hoiberg's offense better than Thibodeau's.
Absolutely.
Apparently, Hoiberg's system just allows them to play their game. Thibodeau kind of used them in system that they weren't very comfortable with. They're more comfortable in Hoiberg's system this year, and Hoiberg's system is free flowing. Like he doesn't matter. Like as long as you can score, you're gonna do good in this system, and like it's shown so far.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's interesting to point out, I'll get to you in just a second, Jake, but the fact that the guards are scoring the majority of the points and the forwards, and you're going to see a lot of people coming off the bench and scoring points. I think Noah and Powell only combined for, I think, maybe 2 or 4 points in the very first game. So I think that'll be interesting to see. But a high potent offense, and they already have the defense. I mean, they've been a defensive team for years, so I think that'll be an interesting combination there. But what were you going to say?
Yeah, you actually teased what I was going to get at here. You said Noah and Gasol got 2 points. I don't like the Bulls. I don't like Noah coming off the bench.
Yeah?
I think Noah's way too good to be coming off the bench, and I think, quite frankly, he's going to be sick of that.
Oh, really?
Come December, I really do. I think Noah's going to be tired of coming off the bench if he does stick with Mirotic.
Yeah.
And he's obviously a top 5 center. He's like a top 20 player, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Noah is solid defensively and get rebounds. I mean,
Good passer, too.
But Noah's a good defensive center.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You want offense in the NBA, obviously.
I'm not
good.
agreeing
He's not.
with that. I just think he's going to ask for a trade if he doesn't get the minutes he deserves.
Oh, okay.
Like probably later on when people are wearing down, he's probably gonna get more minutes. But like right now, all you need Noah is on defense right now for the Bulls.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I see it as.
And
I just think he's too good to come off the bench.
I think
a player of his stature.
And I could agree with that. I think Noah is a high caliber player, and I think he could be a starter on most NBA teams.
98.9.
But I think Noah doesn't run the floor well enough to start in Hoiberg's system and get, just right out of the break, right out of the gates, start the game and run the ball up and down the court. I like that he runs a small lineup still. But we'll move on. We'll go to the West. This is a tougher place. It's pretty much Bulls, Cavs down the line with the East. But we'll start with you. Who do you have winning the West this year?
If Durant, Westbrook can both stay healthy.
Yep.
Everybody else is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. If Durant and Westbrook can both stay healthy, I think they win the West. But that's the key right there, though, because last year Durant was down.
Yep.
Second half of the season, first half Westbrook was down. They're both healthy when the other wasn't.
Yeah.
So if they both can play together, which they've proven they can, they're both healthy, I think they'll win that West pretty easily.
Yeah, and
especially with Dion Waiters.
Yeah,
he can score.
I was going to say, I'd like to see how some of those not necessarily role players, but other guys to back up Westbrook and Durant, how they can fill in and kind of relieve some time for them on the court. But I'm going to go with either the Warriors or Thunder. I can't really decide here. I'm kind of on the edge. I'll stick with the Warriors. I think they'll repeat, but I think it'll be a very close race this year. I like the Thunder. I like Billy Donovan. I think maybe late in the season he might just not take that number 1 seed, still his first year. But I like the Warriors again. They played absolutely great against the Pelicans. Curry dropped 40 in the season opener. Who do you have, Garrett?
Even though they lost to the Thunder last night, I like the Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, because LaMarcus Aldridge didn't play well, but he's still trying to adjust with that team.
Yeah.
And with the experience with Tim Duncan, Manu, Parker, and plus Kawhi Leonard, obviously, the emergence of him lately.
Leonard looked great the other
night,
too.
Yeah, he did. So, and with Popovich, being the coach that he is, I believe the Spurs will win the West this year.
And plus, I'm pretty sure we all know, it's Ginobili, Parker, Duncan.
Yeah.
They really don't try for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they do, but then they don't. They don't give it their all.
And you know what? Pop's going to rest him. He's going to play Aaron Baines or something.
Like he has throughout the season past 2-3 years.
But I like that point, though. I think Aldridge will really fit into the role later in the season. And I like the play they drew up for him, gave him some confidence at the end of the game, let him take a 3-point shot at the end of that Thunder game. And that's a tough way to start the season. It's going to be different as the season progresses. But we'll move on to the MVP. Who do you guys have winning it this year? Do you think Curry repeats? Do we have LeBron again? Or is it Durant's comeback here? What do you guys think? Is there a wild card out there? Garrett, we'll start with you.
So conservative pick for me is Curry. But outside the box right now, since we are 2 games into the season, I'm just assume that this guy just stays the same. I'm gonna go Andre Drummond with my outside the box.
Andre Drummond?
Yeah, for the outside the box.
Okay.
I believe it's gotta be Curry for the rest of the season. But right now, Andre Drummond's looking like my MVP.
All right.
He's averaging 18 points per game and 14.5 rebounds per game. And without Greg Monroe there, he's the main guy in the paint for the Pistons. So I'm gonna go Drummond right now.
All right, Andre Drummond, that bold prediction. I like that. We'll go to you first before I make my pick. Who do you have as your MVP? Andre Drummond?
No.
Greg Monroe?
I'm actually going to go with the guy who I think should have won it last year.
Yeah.
I'm going with James Harden.
Okay.
I think he should have won it last year. He had the better overall season
Yeah.
than Steph Curry did, in my opinion.
Do you think he was picked based off the team's
Yeah,
record?
for the most part, yeah. Like, record has obviously major factor into it, which I don't think it should be, but
Yeah.
I mean, like you have the Durant Westbrook.
It's kind of like the Heisman though too.
Yeah.
But
Durant Westbrook, I don't think neither of them will win it because they coexist on the same floor. So
Yeah.
neither one, because I'm gonna go with James Harden.
All
He's
right.
averaged over 30 a game.
All right, so I'm gonna do kind of a, I don't know, not necessarily conservative and wild card, but conservative and a little bit less conservative. I'm gonna go with Curry for the repeat as well. You know, dropped 40 in the game opener, and you know it's one game, but I mean, in Kerr's system, he thrives and he distributes the ball well. You have enough shooters to where he can come out off the floor and get some rest. I like Curry. I would like Anthony Davis too. I think this could be his year. He had a little bit of a rough start, but I mean, he's the focal point of the Pelicans offense. I like Davis too. So we'll go to Coach of the Year now. So I have Fred Hoiberg. I'm just going to go out and say it right now. I have Fred Hoiberg as mine, all bias aside. I mean, first-year coach, much like Kerr last year. I think if he leads the Bulls to, you know, an Eastern Conference leading record and maybe even an NBA leading record, I think he could very well steal that Coach of the Year. Who do you have, Garrett?
It's really a toss-up for me
Yeah.
because with the first-year coaches this year, it's Billy Donovan or Fred Hoiberg.
Yep.
It really depends on what team does better this year. If Billy Donovan's Thunder team does better than Fred Hoiberg's Bulls team, it's got to be Donovan and vice versa. So whoever's team, Billy Donovan's team or Fred Hoiberg's team does better this year, I'm going to give it to whoever that is.
Okay, and then do you have Hoiberg or Donovan, or do you
Yeah,
have
but
someone else
I
on the
actually
box?
have two options.
Okay.
I don't even consider him a dark horse. I have Billy Donovan, like Garrett said.
Yep.
But I also have Scott Skiles of the Orlando Magic.
Okay, I like that.
I feel like if the Magic can get around 45, 50 wins, which they're more than capable of doing.
Yeah, they're a young team.
Yeah, drastic improvement from last year.
Yeah.
I feel like he could definitely be in there.
Yeah, I like what the Magic have to offer too. I
Yeah.
think it might be maybe a year or two before they
Become
hit that
legit
surge.
contenders, yeah.
Yeah, but I like that pick. So we'll go on to Defensive Player of the Year. Jake, we'll start with you this time. I know your Sixers might have a place in this pick, but who do you have as your
I'm
defensive
gonna go
player?
with Nerlens Noel.
All right, figured that much, but
He should have won Rookie of the Year last year. But unfortunately, he did not. I guess defense doesn't matter in those rankings.
Oh,
but to me, he had one of the. He wasn't just the best defensive rookie last year. He's one of the best rookie defenders in the entire league last year. Last year, he ranked third in overall defensive efficiency.
Yeah.
Only behind Anthony Davis and Joakim Noah.
Okay.
Third as a rookie. I think that's pretty impressive.
All right, and how about you? Do you have him as well, or
I do not. I have Gary Harris of the Denver Nuggets.
Gary Harris? I like
yeah.
that. He had a great game the other night too, defensively.
Yeah, he did. Last night he held Swaggy's or Jake's MVP pick Harden to 6 for 21 last night,
Yep.
and the Nuggets 105-85 win. And apparently, the Denver Nuggets coach Malone
Yep.
has said Gary Harris has made big improvements on defense during this offseason. So I'm going to give it to Gary Harris.
All right, and then for my Defensive Player of the Year, a guy who I personally think should have won it last year, Draymond Green.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was a toss-up between him and Leonard, and you can even throw Nerlens Noel in the conversation, excuse me. But I think Draymond Green does it this year, just tenacious defender, hustles, and will play against anybody, any size. And, you know, he can play inside or out. So I like that. And then we'll go on to most improved. You mentioned Gary Harris made a lot of improvements, but who do you have as your most improved player this year?
I'm going to go with Derek Williams in the Knicks because he played for the Kings, didn't really fit the system that well. Like, he did okay with them, but I feel like he's a tribe with the Knicks. He's probably going to be one of the most consistent scorers for them because Carmelo, he takes too many shots,
Yeah.
like doesn't make them because he's getting old. So Derek Williams is kind of like that young blood for their. So I'm going to go with Derek Williams.
I like that pick a lot. Who do you have, Jake?
I'm going Victor Oladipo of the Orlando Magic. I think he takes that next step to become a top.
You think he's going to become an elite player or just like a top tier?
Not quite a top tier, yeah. Like the top 15, maybe shooting guards in the NBA, maybe top 10. I think he definitely improved like 16, 17 a game, shooting around 48%. I think he's going to have a huge improvement from last season.
I like that pick a lot, and I'm also actually going to go Oladipo. Like you said, Orlando Magic, a surging team out there, and they have a lot of young players. And I think he's going to be a team leader this year and definitely going to step up for the Magic. Then we'll move on to our Sixth Man of the Year, and this is one that I think a little throwback to the Sixers for you. Who do you have?
Good old Lou Williams.
Good old Lou Williams.
Solid
Playing for the
gym-
Lakers now?
Yep, from the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, yeah, D'Angelo Russell's a starter. He's
Yep.
going to start the point guard of the future. But Lou Williams will come in there. He's not last night, a couple nights ago.
Yep.
They did drew up the potential game-winning score for Lou Williams.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to win the sixth man. He's going to repeat from last year.
Yeah, and he hit a big three late in that
Yeah,
game
clutch
to
three.
make it close. Garrett, who do you have as your sixth man of the year?
I'm going to stay in the city of Los Angeles, but I'm going to go with a Clipper guy. I'm going to go Paul Pierce. Like, Paul Pierce, he's coming off the bench for that Clippers team, but he does add, like, that. He's still a consistent scorer for his age.
Yeah, adds
like
a veteran role for that team.
So, like, he's still put up 12, 15 points per game for that Clippers team. So I'm going to go Pierce coming off the bench.
If he can get up and down the court.
Yeah, that's true.
But for my sixth man of the year, I'm going to pick a guy who doesn't really play a six-man role. I mean, he plays like he's a starter. He plays starter minutes, but for some reason he comes off the bench. Isaiah Thomas, I mean, he puts up starter numbers. He does everything that a starter does but start.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas. I think he had about 27, 30 points, somewhere in that range last night. He's going to be big for the Celtics. I think he's personally their best player, maybe besides David Lee.
James Young, too.
Yeah. But Brandon Bass, is he still there? No, but
he's in the Lakers.
All right, so we'll go on to Rookie of the Year. This is one where I know we have some disagreements. Garrett, we'll start with you this time. Who do you have as your Rookie of the Year?
So I'm going to allow Jake to pick his. So I won't take his.
Yeah, we had a little Twitter argument about this the other day.
So I'm going to go Porzingis. I like Kristaps Porzingis a lot. He showed a lot in the summer league, but he got 16 points and 5 rebounds last night for the Knicks in his debut. So I'm going to go Porzingis because he's probably going to be one of those guys that you're going to feed often because you do have Carmelo, you have Robin Lopez on that team. But I feel like Porzingis may be, with Derek Williams, the two most consistent scorers for them.
Yeah, and he was a little streaky, but he can score in a number of ways, which I like. He's efficient from the line. He can score inside and out. And I think once he kind of gets used to the speed of the NBA game and the physicality, I think he'll thrive as well.
Dirk Nowitzki 2.0.
But we'll let you go with your Rookie of the Year.
I'm going Jahlil Okafor.
Jahlil Okafor, okay.
Big job from
That's a big favorite that a lot of people have.
Yeah, because, Sixers are going to look to him often.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's a rookie, and he's the number one scoring option for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
The whole offense is based around him and Nick Stauskas when he comes back. So, I think Jahlil Okafor. He'll average around 20 points a game.
Yeah.
8-9 rebounds, shooting a good percentage, too.
You think he's going to average 20 throughout the whole season?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
He's definitely going to get the shots.
Yeah. I like that. For my Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go a little outside the box. I know he's on some people's list, but I'm a Nuggets fan. I have the bias, and I like Emmanuel Mudiay a lot. He had a pretty good first game against the Rockets. I believe it was like 18 points, 9 assists. I mean, he did have 11 turnovers.
Yeah,
but, he's young,
he's
and I
a
think,
rookie.
he's a rookie, and I think he'll get used to it. Some of those mistakes will get cleaned up. And in the absence of Ty Lawson, I think he's going to be huge and fulfill that role.
But, it's probably got to be expected of him to turn over the ball.
Yeah.
Because when he was playing over in China, because he didn't go to college because he wanted to go straight to the NBA, but the rule, you have to go at least 1 year to college to be NBA eligible. He did turn over the ball a lot in China, but he was still effective.
Yeah.
So you still have to get adjusted to speed and everything. So give him some time.
Yeah, and what I like is, some of those turnovers is just because he plays with a lot of moxie. He plays flashy, and he makes kind of risky passes sometimes. But, some of those things will come together as the season progresses. And I like his role as a scorer. I mean, he's shot, I think, made only 2 threes during the summer league, but he's been shooting threes since the season started. So I like Emmanuel Mudiay a lot. And then we'll move on for your teams to watch in the East and West. Swaggy, we'll start with you this time. Who do you have in the East?
I actually have 2 teams that's hard for me to decide. I'm going to go with the Wizards, the Washington Wizards, and the Toronto Raptors. There's 2 teams. They're somewhat young with tremendous backcourts. I mean, with the Raptors, you have Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Terrence Ross. And with the Wizards, you have John Wall and Bradley Beal.
Yeah, and those are 2 teams that come playoff time, I always want to make a deep run, and I think they have the option. Wizards.
Yeah, they have the talent too. They just don't have the experience, which I think they'll get there.
Absolutely.
They'll probably finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th around there. 2 top 4 teams in the East.
All right, Kroger, how about you?
For the East team, I'm going to go with the Pistons.
Okay.
Because they're 2-0 right now. They really embarrassed the Hawks in the first game.
Yeah.
Which was very surprising because the Hawks are one of the favorites to win the East this year.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, Pistons, they have really good young talent. Yet they have Andre Drummond, Stanley Johnson,
Contavious Caldwell Pope. They have a lot of guard play, which I like.
And also they have Jackson too. Yes, Jackson maybe a little bit overrated, but like he can still score for them.
Not overrated, but overpaid.
Yeah, overpaid.
Yeah, and I think he can fulfill that role and be a main scorer on that team. I also have the Pistons as one of my teams. I also picked two, though. I like the Bucks a lot. Yeah. Obviously, the Bucks are probably on a lot of people's list. They made a playoff run last year, and without Jabari Parker, played pretty competitively against the Bulls. So I think when he comes back, he'll be huge. Giannis Antetokounmpo right now on suspension, but when he comes back, they did get crushed pretty hard in their first game, I believe. But I think when those two come back, and with I can't think of his name, Monroe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Monroe will have a decent season there. So I have the Bucks in the East as well as the Pistons, and I'll start with the West this time. I have some bias, and I'm going to say the Nuggets. I don't know if they'll necessarily make the playoffs, but I think they'll be one of those teams on the outside looking in, maybe a 9, or even they might even sneak in at an 8. I like them a lot this year. They're a young team, and they have guard play, and I think Fareed will definitely have a big comeback year. That's my personal opinion, but I like the Nuggets. It's a bold prediction, but what do you think?
I like the Timberwolves a lot. I don't really, like as you mentioned, like I don't maybe see them getting in the playoffs, but I see them being competitive for a playoff spot. They have really good young talent. They have Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, Zach LaVine, Ricky Rubio, and they also have the veteran leader in KG this year as well. So I really like the Timberwolves this year.
Yeah, and I also like the Timberwolves a lot. I liked LaVine watching him against the Lakers. It seems like he's added some dynamics to his game. He looks shifty. He's attacking the basket and added a little bit shooting to his game. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Lakers of Los Angeles as my team to watch.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they're going to be fun to watch because Lakers, they're going to put up points regardless. I mean, they got to tighten up on defense, of course. But I think a lot of people don't realize. Everyone thinks that Kobe Bryant will be the Lakers.
Okay.
But the Lakers, they've quietly been rebuilding the past 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Because they got Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, and D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
That is an excellent trio of the future.
And Hibbert, too.
Let's not forget Roy Hibbert.
I mean, Julius Randle, he's just a man-child. He dominated KG.
Yeah.
A couple days ago.
And I like that. He plays aggressive.
Yeah.
He wants the ball in his hands late in the game. He attacked the hoop, and I think he personally would have made that game game-tying shot against the Timberwolves before Kobe called that timeout.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be long before Julius Randle's an all-star. I give it 2 years before Julius Randle is playing in February.
All right, so we'll do our last thing here. I don't have it on the list, but obviously your NBA champion, and then we'll close out our show. Garrett, we'll start with you. Who do you have winning the NBA very early this year?
I'm going to have the Warriors winning it all this year. They're going to repeat, obviously, because you have Steph, you have the other Splash Bro, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, also Harrison Barnes on that team. So it's just a very talented team, and especially with Steph Curry as well as your leader. I'm just going to go with the Warriors to repeat this year.
Okay. I like that pick. I'm going to go with the Thunder, though, actually. I think it's a toss-up between whoever wins the West, per usual, but I'm going to go with the the Thunder this year. I think it's a redemption year for them. They've been hampered by injuries in the past, and since they made that last finals, I mean, they're always up there and contending other than last year when they lost KD, but I think it's a big year. I think Billy Donovan will offer a new look for them, and I think the Thunder will do it this year. How about you?
I'm also going with the Thunder.
Okay.
I mean, I have a feeling, at least I hope it's a feeling, I hope the Thunder and the Rockets play each other in the playoffs.
Okay.
In the conference or even the semifinals. And I think whoever wins that win the West.
Yeah.
But I think the Thunder ultimately win it. Because you got 2 of the top 5 players. You can't really go against that when they're both healthy.
See, my only problem with picking the Rockets, because I love Harden, and I love Beverly as well, and how aggressive a defender he is. But I see struggles with the post play.
Dwight
Howard. I think when it comes down to it, and you need a big play, he kind of fades away. Or if you need a big defensive play or someone to step up, he plays a little soft, in my opinion. But
at least for me, I think since the Rockets, I think they finally got rid of Josh Smith.
Yeah.
Who shoots way too many threes.
He played well in the playoffs last year, though.
I think they can finally prosper.
All right, so we have 2 Thunder, 1 Warriors. We'll see what happens this NBA season. It's still early, but that's all we have for inCYders this week. Same time, same place next week. Thank you for joining us. Have a good homecoming.